We're gonna do something, it's gonna be in the hallway.
Does anyone have any other evidence they'd like to present?
Where were you when my son got his jaw broke?
All right, I've heard enough.
2 weeks after I'd found out I was pregnant, that's when I caught him cheating on me.
You was at my house when I found
at my
these
grandfather's
pictures.
house.
You was in my
Second of all,
bedroom.
Or do you even really have a doubt? In your mind, you just don't know for sure if they're yours?
I wouldn't dare have my kids hurting.
You're just a jealous person.
All right, paternity peeps, get ready for another showdown of who's the daddy. You quite often hear about money fraud, but this is going to be a new one. Mr. Jackson has petitioned the court for a DNA test because he believes Miss Island has committed paternity fraud by claiming he fathered her 2-year-old daughter.
Cuz, young, I found out about this child a whole year ago.
And so what does that have to do with a paternity fraud?
Because if this was my child, I want to be in my child's life. You supposed to let somebody know. Aaliyah picked up and took off. Never heard from her, then she started playing Facebook games. Sending me messages through Facebook, then she would block me. Sending me messages, then block me. Using other people's names. It's just the game just kept going on and on.
Oh, the good old social media blocking game. What are you people? Teenagers, y'all literally have a child situation in hand, and this is how you want to treat it. Sounds like a wall of ego clustered your brains. Anyways, Mr. Jackson, take us back to the nature of relationship, Oregon. I might say situationship.
Right after that, I called her. She answered the phone. That night, me and Leah had sex on the back porch.
Wow, okay. That same night.
Come correct. We done had sex on the back porch.
Yes,
Come
we
correct.
did, Aaliyah, that same
2 weeks
night.
later, we had sex in your
That
car.
same night,
We
Aaliyah
had
was the
sex
back
in the back
porch.
of your car.
Ah, man, come on. You just can't blame the woman alone, even if it happened on the porch the day y'all met. Mr. Jackson, you are equally involved in this. You just can't play the Black Ranger from the Wild Force. But listen to this. It was all happening without commitments. Give me a break.
It was just sex-wise. Every time he called my phone, it's sex-wise. That's
And you
all.
say you were in a
all.
relationship,
Wasn't a
Mr. Jackson.
We
relationship.
wasn't
Yeah.
in no relationship.
I was
We
helping
had
you.
no.
I was
We
doing
had
stuff
no
for you.
strings attached, and it's
Yeah.
just sex in a car.
She's a jump off.
I'm a jump off. Wait a minute. I'm a jump off, but you kept coming
Get
back.
some order.
She
Let's
was
get some
easily-
order. No, listen. Now, just a minute ago, Mr. Jackson, you testified that you were in a relationship.
Thank God, Judge, I really needed that. More than me, someone had to say it out loud and knock some sense into these kids having kids. After Mr. Jackson repeated the porch incident, just look how Miss Island reacted again. Man.
It's just him. That him and him, me and him. That it was just him. I was
She
just
was
messing
saying
around with
somebody
him.
else.
But you stay
She was
calling
saying
my
somebody
phone,
else.
calling me.
Leah, who? Explain the guy on the back porch. Who's that guy on the back porch?
Wait, I thought you was on the back porch.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was two guys on the back
Wow, wow.
It was 2 guys on the back porch. Me and the mystery man. Time I was on the back porch,
Wow.
the guy would
No,
grill me.
You're just
Look at me.
jealous. You're just a jealous person. If you see someone else around, you think that I'm messing with somebody.
Feels like Mr. Jackson's jealous nothing else? Right. Oh boy. So if you think he's that simple, then you have taken it all wrong. According to him, Miss Island was already in a relationship. The reason why they got cozy on the porch, not in the bedroom. What?
So when did she disappear? I don't understand this part.
I started coming over there, blowing the horn. Her family come to the window. She's not here. She's gone. Okay, I'll leave. Come back the next day. Aaliyah's not here. She's gone. She always gone. Now, the clock started ticking. She with another guy. Okay, come to the house, blow again. Papa, Aaliyah up there. Now, she gone. Look, she on the side of the window, moving the curtains, looking. There she go right there.
We know when everything gets this much confusing, where do we go from here? Yes, the timeline. How about we focus on that and do the math? Okay, so, Miss Island, how about you shed some light on your version of it?
November 15, 2015, I found that I was pregnant. How did I know? Because I missed my menstrual period. When I went to the hospital, it confirmed that I was pregnant. I called him and told him he was excited. He come see me that night, same day, November 15th. He came to see me. We were sitting in the car. I was talking to him. I mentioned something about I'm hungry. She say, okay, he'll be back. Here it is, 30 minutes passed by. He never came. An hour passed by. He never came. 3 hours passed by. He never came. Where'd he go?
Did those logos distract anyone for a new Snapchat sign? Never mind. Coming back to the case. I think most of the things are now clear. So how about we just stop recording testimony and give you the closure you deserve? Mr. Jackson, here are the DNA results.
Mr. Jackson, you are the father. Woo! You are the father. That's your beautiful little girl. And has no relationship with her daddy. Out of everything that was said, all the testimony I heard, the ghosting, the this, whatever it was, the testimony that touched my heart the most is when you said she asked where her daddy is.
Guys, this one has really been hilarious. A woman was alleged to be sleeping with 5 men for the same family. But wait, keeping in mind that she's married, yes, we did get that part figured out. Want to know how? Because her husband, Mr. Rash, was calling the shots. Well, that's enough reason to doubt paternity.
I do, in fact, actually, I have cheated on him. I'm gonna admit that, but he knew from the get-go, like, look, my past, I grew up in foster care. I didn't have
have the best childhood. But he knew when we first got together that in order to move forward, I told him everything. And I told him, look, don't use my past against me. I was still in love with my
That's a
ex-boyfriend.
lie, Your Honor. Let me tell you why that's a lie.
Mr. Rash, how did you find out she was cheating on you?
I found out that she cheated on me through text messages that she had in her phone, people on Craigslist, men.
Man, what an emotional damage. Okay, miss, I ain't buying your foster care excuse. It's nothing but abuse. However, Miss Fuentes explained that she was never truly in love with Mr. Rash. She even had another man waiting on the side. What is this woman doing?
You, in your mind, in your opinion, you felt like we're together.
Yeah, we're
and
together.
so during the time of conception, you think you're still in a relationship.
Yeah, and then she said that, you know, like, all of a sudden, now we ain't together, that this happened, and, you know, I'm just supposed to just to take it?
Wait, Mr. Rash, judging by the looks, it's probably because the baby mama didn't take her responsibility for the kids. I mean, like, wasn't that obvious if she has been sleeping around getting names tattooed of different men on her body? Just listen to Miss Fuentes justifies everything.
He has good intentions, but the way he goes about things, he's too busy worrying about what me and him is going to do.
You have another man's tattoo to your body.
Yes, but you knew from the beginning that I was never in love with you, that I was
You
having
never was
issues,
in love with
and
me.
I didn't want
Okay,
to be
but
with
all
you.
these lies,
I tried to
the
make it work.
deceitfulness.
I tried to make it work.
This is what I don't get. You stand here, you talk about Mr. Rash.
Yeah, now think for yourself. I would have definitely been frustrated if I were to be in Mr. Rash's shoes. Okay, just forgot everything for a while and listened to her little bedtime tale. Okay, Miss Fuentes, we are all ears. It now time for you to spill the beans.
Me and him had gotten in an argument because he was too busy accusing me. Oh, you did this to the mailman.
I didn't even accuse you of anything at that point.
Anything.
I didn't even know any of
He accuses me
that.
of doing anything. You know what I mean? To make himself feel better, he likes to pick and choose. Well, we had agreed to split up. I told him, look, I'm leaving. I'm going away for a couple days because she had called me and asked me and said, we're having a picnic, a 4th of July picnic. Would you like to come over?
The brother incident has taken over our minds and now it's really getting annoying. Miss Fuentes, you say that you love the man, but you also go around sleeping with multiple dudes and yet you call it love. But just hold on. How about we listen directly from one of the men from the Cuddle Hours?
What was the nature of your relationship?
Pretty much just family friend.
And so just a family friend.
Right.
Do you believe you're her child's father?
Not really. Don't look like me at all.
Looks don't matter. She could take after my family. She
But
looks
the
like
time
me.
of conception matches. You understand that, right? That at the time the child was conceived, you were sleeping with her.
Correct. But she says 5 days, 5-day radius.
I mean, if the defendant was so openly admitting to committing infidelity, so why don't we just focus on the results first and get the closure first? If there was no shame in the game, why do we have to wait, Mr. Rash? And honestly, man, we all are rooting for your win. Here is the DNA sprinkle for both the kids.
Mr. Rash, you are her father. Case of Rash versus Fuentes, in which Mr. Rash or Mr. Judd could be the father. When it comes to 2-year-old Gabriella, Mr. Judd, you are the father.
OMG, did you just hear that? Now I don't know if that's a win or a lose situation. Whoa, what just happened? But people just buckle up for some intense rage reaction coming up from Mr. Rash. Ouchie! Here, have a look.
Oh my God. I'll
Why are
never
you
forgive
crying?
you for that. I'll never forgive you for that. Never.
She deserves to know.
No,
It
she
ain't about
don't
me and
deserve
you.
to know.
Yes, she does.
You lied to her and you lied to me. I'll never forgive you. Never. You should have never ever did that. Should have been straight up front.
Why are you so emotional, Miss Fuentes?
Because I knew it. I knew it. And if I didn't think that, I wouldn't have said nothing. You know what I mean? But I.
You know what?
kept it
It's
real,
not going to
'cause she
change.
deserves to
It's not
know.
going to change anything.
We all really need a break because these paternity denial cases are increasing every day. Why can't you people just take the responsibility? See, meet another paternity denier, Mr. McQueen, who had abandoned his alleged 9-month-old daughter. Here we go. Let's just focus on the case.
He has bought her 1 box of diapers and like 2 things of wipes.
So she's 8 months old, 9 months old, pretty much nothing?
Yep.
And I can see that that really hurts you. You very angry about that?
Yes.
Tell the court.
It's hard because, I don't know, I didn't ever see it like this.
How did you see it?
Like he had promised.
And how was that?
Wow, bravo. Why is everyone so focused on getting diapers for the baby? Well, they might be important now, but what about the mental health of the poor child? I mean, come on, Mr. McQueen, you shouldn't be proud of yourself.
So tell me, what was the nature of your relationship? Were you committed? Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, we were committed, yes. was.
So you were boyfriend and girlfriend in a committed relationship?
Yes.
You were boyfriend and girlfriend, Miss Chirpez?
Yeah.
Sounds fishy, but wait. Listen to this. Miss Chirpies found out about Mr. McQueen's cheating when she set up a situation to catch him in the act by pretending to visit her father's house, but returning early to find him with another woman. Now that's the female version of Ethan Hunt.
What happens from there?
I asked him to make her leave, and they were both smirking at me the whole time like it was a joke. And
I did not, all your honor, think it was a joke.
I had my 3-year-old daughter with me too. So I didn't want confrontation in front of her, and I ended up kicking him out and took him off my lease the next day.
Do you believe at the end of the day, he thinks you're cheating because he's the one's cheating?
Yes.
It all feels like the plaintiff was getting back at Mr. McQueen by talking to other men, and you also know what that means. Somebody was in love playing Love Me Like You Do in their head. If all of that's true, this ain't cheating, folks. It's a heartbreak.
So you did? You went to another man's house and spent the night?
Yeah, because he had brought a woman to our house. So I kind of avoid the fighting I had left yet.
And so you find out he's cheating. Is this before or after you have this episode where you go to the house and there's another woman in the house with him?
This was before.
So before?
It's been numerous occasions. It
Your
wasn't
Honor.
just once. There's been about 3 girls in my house, yes.
Now isn't all that hurtful. It's like they both have been playing Hunger Games, but the revenge version, and they are not literally killing themselves, but killing the emotions. Just listen to how Miss Chirps expresses her ways of dealing with the baby situation.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 children. I had my own house. I was living in the house that we had actually originally gotten together, and I struggled for the whole year to keep it. I was working 12-hour shifts, going to school. I was taking Raya to school every day with me.
But just go blaming the man already for being a deadbeat. Mr. McQueen mentioned that he was working long hours to support their family, but felt excluded from their lives. I mean, I don't really know what to say to that after we just heard the mama has been raising the kid alone. But hold on, who's this man?
I'd like to ask you, did you have a sexual relationship with Miss Chirpez?
At one point in time, yes.
And so how did you all meet?
Online.
And it quickly developed into a sexual relationship, or?
She was a single parent. I was a single parent. It was kind of just getting to know each other to begin with.
So was it an intimate relationship?
Yes, at one point, yes.
At one point it was. How often were you intimate?
Not very often at all.
Do you think there's a chance that you could be Araya's biological father?
The revenge games were about to come to a closure, and we have now questioned enough motives. Now the baby is here. It doesn't matter who did what and why. The only thing matters is who's they baby daddy. So buckle up. Judge Lake was about to read the results.
Mr. McQueen is the father of 8-month-old Araya Chirpez. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. McQueen. You are the father, Mr. McQueen.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Where do we go from here?
Back home and I'm there 100%, Your Honor.
Thank you, because I'm tired.
If you think that paternity deniers are all convinced within days, don't forget the case of Miss Newell, whose partner has been in paternity doubt for 22 years. Will they be able to find closure today? Let's see what happens in this tale of courtroom drama.
Well, Your Honor, I was about 11, 12 years old, and I had a bike accident. I was riding a bike with no seat on it, and my brakes went out, and I flipped over the handlebars, and the poles went up into my groins. And I was in the hospital for 37 days. I had to learn how to walk all over again. And I got better. The doctor told me it's a possibility that I won't be able to have children.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here. I have more doubt. We was together no more than like 4 months.
But before we reach any conclusion, Laval Sr. claims that it is medically impossible for him to have fathered a child due to an injury he sustained as a child. He mentions a bike accident that caused severe injuries to his groin area. Oops, somebody ain't gonna participate in the bicycle league this time.
Now, first of all. Second of all, we were living together when my son was conceived.
But that don't make Junior mine. You was messing around.
Excuse me.
Your family stayed on one side of the neighborhood where I met you as the same neighborhood that I had the same guy I'm having a doubt with. Neighborhood.
And again.
So when this
the
same
fact
guy
of the
you're
matter
having the
still
doubt with-
remains is you were at the hospital. You sat up there with your mouth.
OMG, why are you people getting so loud? I mean, we can all hear you. This ain't a gathering of 5,000. Just hold your emotions. Nah, that's what we are all here for, the juicy drama, right? Well, the emotions were running high. According to Mama, the alleged daddy has been throwing allegations or lying.
I pull out nudie pictures of her.
You
out of the diaper bag?
Out of the diaper bag, Your Honor.
What nudie pictures?
Oh, you don't remember now? You don't remember the nudie pictures?
Listen,
On
Doris,
everything I
stop lying. Stop lying. Please
Your
stop
Honor.
lying. Because for
Your
one,
Honor.
you wasn't even allowed in my grandfather's house. So
No, you was
way
at
in the
my
world
house when I
you
found
went
the
at my
nudie
grandfather's
pictures.
house.
You was in my
Second of all,
bedroom. The nudie pictures
Mr. Doris,
out.
the
Come
person
on,
in question,
Come on.
I didn't meet this person till after my son turned a year old.
Now that was some really loud voice. One thing for sure, ma'am, you got great lungs. You should probably try in the Mentos commercial. Never mind. So Mr. Laval Sr. explains that his doubts about being the father stem from a brief 4-month relationship with Miss Newell. During this time, he learned that she was involved with another man.
Cell phones didn't have that type of connection. What technology are you in?
Cell phones.
Cell phones didn't have that technology. And then you didn't even have a phone so long. How you gonna say
I've been having the same phone number for 15
Miss
years.
Doris, you're lying. You can't keep a job, let alone a phone.
Okay.
Miss Dora.
But I got to get their job now.
Well, you do pay for your son now.
Let's get some order.
I am.
Now.
Mr. Doris Sr. then claimed that he moved away due to job reasons and that Newell called him to pick up their son because he was acting up. Mr. Doris Sr. traveled a long distance to Chicago to get his son, but Newell didn't allow him to take Laval Jr. because she didn't believe he lived in Chicago.
Where you and my son got his jaw broke?
I was in the hospital. I don't want to spend the night up there at the hospital.
No. Let's talk about a child being put out.
Let's get some order. Let's get some order.
You're not gonna just
Let's get some order. What I want to know is, at the point you sign that birth certificate, and you know by signing that, legally you're recognized as his father, which is why you're responsible for child support.
Yes, I don't got no.
Well, wannabe couple wasn't getting tired of yelling at each other, so how about we just call in Mr. Laval Jr. to the courtroom and shares his perspective. I mean, like the poor kid has been in the dark for about 22 years now. If they don't stop arguing, he also has the right to express his frustration.
Mostly what upset me the most is why wait 22 years? That's a big question in my mind, my heart, what I go through, what I've been going through lately when I found out about it. And knowing that, seeing that my parents can't even get along, that's a real painful feeling right there.
All right, now since they have been yelling like they were standing in the stadium, and all the ruckus hasn't bring another to pledge for the mistakes that they had committed, it was now time for Judge Lake to come in and call the shots. So let's just get to the results.
Mr. Doris, you are his father.
Thank you. Can I approach him, Your Honor?
Your dad like to give you a hug. Is that okay?
Yes.
You stay over there. I'll see him when we get home because I don't want to be nowhere near that.
Thank you, Your Honor. No doubt. Thank you. That's all I wanted. That's a chapter in my life, and it's been a long time. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time.
Lavelle Jr., how does it feel for you, hon, to know what you've always been told, but now you know today that father had a level of doubt?
This time around, a retired pro soccer player enters the courtroom, claiming that his wife slept with one of his teammates years ago. He has also revealed the news to his 27-year-old daughter, Miss Elisa. Oh man, now that's some next-level team bonding.
1983, we had an away game in Pensacola, and I took Miss Williams with me, and we checked into a hotel, and I went to bed early because I worked that day, and it was a Friday. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, and Miss Williams is no longer in the room.
How long was she gone?
I can't say exactly how long, but I know it was at least an hour or two.
Okay.
Right.
So you believed at that moment that something was going on?
Elisa Williams and her sister are determined to prove that the man they've known as their father is indeed their biological parent. The shocking revelation of infidelity and doubts about paternity have left their lives in turmoil. I am just so sad. What a sad gimmick.
Point, you had heard nothing.
Right. And 27 is not a good age for this to be brought up if he wants me to have balance in my life. That's a very critical time, I feel, in anybody's life at that age. In your late 20s, you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to figure some things out. And for that to be something thrown in the mix.
Ah, well, home run, man. You should have taken care of this duty years back. Not like that, huh? However, Miss Elisa's mother had an affair during a trip, throwing doubt on Elisa's paternity. Let's hear what she was thinking in her mind, knowing Daddy was on the birth certificate.
She's presented to the court her birth certificate. You're listed as father.
I could be listed as father, but I never signed it.
You did not sign it. You didn't execute it.
No.
At that point, did you have a question of her paternity, meaning I could be this child's father, but I might not be?
That's correct.
Everything in me feels like I'm his daughter. I feel that I look like him.
How was it presented to you
accomplished.
specifically?
Really?
Mission accomplished.
Mr. Scales.
Wow, Mr.
Yes.
Scales.
Even Judge Lake was hurt when she came to know about the sudden revelation that dropped over Miss Elisa. So she empathizes with Elisa's feelings and explains that the courtroom exists to help children in similar situations. Well, somebody had to take the responsibility of this.
But
Now,
this is
who knows
exactly
where
why
this
this
person
courtroom exists. Because we have to speak for children that are in your position.
Right.
We try to find out the truth early on
Exactly.
so that it's not a situation situation like this where you remember, you know. Like you're saying, if you were 2 years old and this came out, you really wouldn't remember all this now. You would just know.
However, Mr. Bernard, aka the soccer dude, admits he wasn't clear because he didn't want to cause problems. But hold on, Ms. Tonga mentions that their upbringing was never normal and there was always tension. Judge Lake requests to speak to their mother, Belinda, who enters the courtroom and accuses Bernard of lying. Family reunion. Huh?
Elisa is his biological daughter.
It's no reason at all, Your Honor. If he was gonna doubt a child, he should doubt Tanja. When I had the affair with the person in question, when I met the
rest
person
my case, Your Honor.
in question, I didn't even have any kids from him.
You're admitting that this night in question, you did leave the room.
I did leave.
And you did have an affair.
Miss Belinda explains that Bernard is not listed as the father on Tonga's birth certificate, causing further doubt about his paternity. Feels like now only Batman can solve this mystery? Nah. Kidding, we have our own private hero, and that's Judge Lake. She questions whether this omission was due to fear of the teammate. How considerate, ma'am.
So is that why you didn't sign my birth certificate, or is that why
He never signed the birth certificate. I did put him on Elisa's birth certificate.
Does anyone have that birth certificate?
Can I?
Ron, let me see that. He is not. Mr. Scales is not listed as father on her birth certificate.
Why not?
Now, she was born first.
Well, bad intentions are or not, Miss Elisa is the one who has now suffered, and listening to Miss Belinda has only fueled the doubts further, because paternity court is the place to flip things when you know you're too sure. So how about we get to that part and give the answer the plaintiff is looking for?
Mr. Scales, you are her father.
Mission accomplished.
Accomplished. Look, I'm very pleased when I can give people the answers that they need. I was not a party to your relationship, so I don't know what happened. It sounds like there were some things that happened between the two of you that created some level of doubt in your mind, Mr. Scales. And that's a tough thing to have to talk about with your child.
Miss England is in court with Mr. Kaiser, asserting that after 6 years and 1 child together, he's now denying their 6-month-old Isaac, attributing it to actions during a separation. While Miss England claims consistent support for Mr. Kaiser, he firmly believes another man fathered Isaac due to her actions during their break.
Ms. England, you say that you and Mr. Kaiser have been together for 6 years, have a 3-year-old son together, but claim he's now denying your 6-month-old son Isaac, and you're here to prove that he is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kaiser, you acknowledge 1 child with Miss England, but say Isaac is not yours. You say that during your separation from Miss England, she slept with another man, and you are 100% sure he is the father.
Mr. Kaiser, while acknowledging a previous relationship with Miss England and her subsequent pregnancy, steadfastly denies paternity of the child, associating it with another man during their separation. Miss England, however, denies cheating and shows frustration with his accusations, while Mr. Kaiser provides an opposing narrative suggesting prior infidelity.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Kaiser. The whole time she was pregnant and you accepted her back, you're thinking the whole time and she's pregnant by another man, or were you thinking this could potentially be my child as well?
I didn't think it was my child, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
I didn't think it was my child. I always thought it was the other man's child. I can't take care of another man's baby, Your Honor, especially the man she was cheating on me with.
I was not cheating. I never wanted
to cheat. Your Honor, she said she wasn't cheating on me, right? But she had the other man's phone number.
Tensions rise as Mr. Kaiser questions how another man had Miss England's number, implying infidelity. England cites consistent arguing and a lack of care from Kaiser as reasons for seeking attention elsewhere, emphasizing her physical and emotional exhaustion from work and feeling neglected. Both experience communication breakdowns, reflecting a strained relationship.
Why was you texting your phone? How you have your phone number?
Why weren't you taking care of me?
We was arguing all the time during that time.
Exactly.
You all still arguing now. I can't even get a word in. So there obviously was a breakdown in the relationship.
Right.
Yes.
And you ended up breaking up completely.
Yes, and the only reason that I left him, Your Honor, is because the other man was paying more attention than he was.
Miss England outlines a timeline, highlighting intimacy with another man on March 25th, and then with Mr. Kaiser from the 28th onwards, believing the conception date to be March 30th. She underscores having unprotected sex only with Mr. Kaiser during this window. A pregnancy test on April 5th was negative, leading her to conclude the child can't be the other man's, given the timing.
On the 25th of March,
yes,
you were intimate with the other guy.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay. On the 28th, me and Mr. Kaiser, we got back together. I came back to where he was at with our children. We had unprotected sex on the 28th, the 29th, the 30th, the 31st, and the 1st. And my conception date is the 30th of March. I had sex with the other man before the conception window.
Were you sleeping with this other man unprotected?
No, ma'am.
Miss England asserts that she did not engage in further intercourse with the other man after April 3rd, pointing to trust in her word. She indicates that the baby has a tongue tie, a genetic trait, and emphasizes the baby's resemblance to their 3-year-old. She contends that the baby's characteristics support her belief that Mr. Kaiser is the father, but skepticism persists about the potential genetic traits of the other man involved.
Your Honor, the 3rd of April, I left and went back, but I never had intercourse with that man again.
How do I know
With
that,
my
Your Honor?
coworker. You don't know that. You just have to go off my words. That baby's also tongue-tied, genetic trait. That baby
Okay.
looks like our 3-year-old child.
Okay.
Same trait.
Okay.
And you're referring to a medical condition.
Yes, ma'am.
She don't know if that guy's father
That's not
is
true,
tongue-tied or
'cause
not.
I-
What if the other guy didn't have it?
Dr. McLaurin, a doctor of medical dentistry, is invited to discuss the genetic aspects of tongue tie in the context of the paternity dispute about baby Isaac. Miss England asserts that the presence of tongue tie in both Mr. Kaiser and the baby indicates paternity. Dr. McLaurin acknowledges that research is varied and inconclusive on the inheritance patterns of tongue tie, rendering it a non-definitive factor in establishing biological connections.
We are here today discussing a paternity issue as it relates to baby Isaac. And Ms. England has asserted that because Mr. Kaiser suffers from a certain medical condition, tongue-tied, and her child also does, that's further indicator that Mr. Kaiser is her child's biological father. I know you've been dealing with these issues for a while, over almost 30 years now, if not more.
Miss Jones asserts that Mr. Joyner, her ex-boyfriend, is the father of her 8-month-old daughter, Hazel, and has not contributed to her upbringing. Despite the financial and emotional struggles as a single mother, she contends Hazel needs her father. Mr. Joyner, a U.S. military veteran, firmly believes he is not Hazel's biological father.
Ms. Jones, you claim the defendant is an ex-boyfriend who got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 8-month-old daughter, Hazel.
Yes.
You and your mother petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is Hazel's father, so he will finally step up. Mr. Joyner, you say you are a responsible U.S. military veteran who would never neglect a call to duty and are 100% certain you are not her child's biological father.
Miss Jones's mother, supporting her daughter's claims against Mr. Joyner, provides her perspective, stating that her daughter and Mr. Joyner spent time together, sometimes overnight, and she was familiar with their relationship because she would lend her car for their meetings and has even spent a weekend at his residence with them.
Ms. Jones, did your daughter ever introduce you to Miss Joyner? Mr. Joyner, did you know anything about him?
Yes, ma'am. I know the situation because she used to take my car and go over there and visit him and stay sometimes this night and everything with him. I even went over there to his residence, spent the weekend and everything with them, with my other grandson. So that's how I know he's denying it. He's lying, Your Honor.
Judge Lake questions Mr. Joyner about why he spent time with Miss Jones and her mother if it was just a casual sexual relationship, implying a deeper connection might have existed. Despite Mr. Joyner's assertion that they pushed their way in on him, Miss Jones's mother, Clarice, recalls instances where they cooked and cleaned for him, and he expressed appreciation.
Why are you spending time with her mother and her at your house and doing all that if it's just a sexual relationship and you don't care anything about her?
They pushed their way in on me, Your Honor.
No, that's not true.
You say this was just casual, it was nothing, but when a young woman's mother says, I'm over there cooking and cleaning and we going over there.
He even was thanking me for when I was coming over there and stuff and cooking and stuff. He said, tell your mama, thank you, I appreciate it and stuff.
When Miss Jones informed Mr. Joyner of her pregnancy, he responded with silence and a promise to call back, which he never fulfilled. Mr. Joyner admits to being aware that he might be the father, but also suspects other men could be due to her alleged relations with coworkers. Will this case cause an absolute chaos in paternity court?
You have many a times. I don't know if that was to get me out my drawers or what, but you have many a times.
So what happened when you told him you were pregnant?
I called him and I was like, I got something to tell you. I'm at the hospital. He was like, don't tell me you're pregnant. I said, well, I'm pregnant. And like he just sat on the phone silent. And then he said, I'm gonna call you back. And he never called me back. And I'm just waiting for the phone to ring and no call back from Mr. Joyner.
Miss Jones claims she and Mr. Joyner were in a serious relationship, emphasizing that their co-workers recognized their connection. Mr. Joyner denies the relationship's seriousness, asserting that she chose him as the potential father over other men due to his means. He recalls their association being brief and non-exclusive before her pregnancy announcement.
She seen what it was, you know. And she seen my means of, you know, what I had, and the other guy she was, you know, guy or two that she was sleeping with at the time, and she thought that I would be the best decision.
Or we were together, or we were dating. We were in a serious relationship.
We wasn't.
Like everything was about Mr. Joyner.
Miss Jackson asserts that her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Brown, is the father of her 26-year-old daughter, Tanika, which he has denied since birth due to a love triangle involving his wife. She recently reopened a child support case, claiming Mr. Brown owes $20,624.08. Mr. Brown and his wife contest the paternity, citing his 3-month absence during the conception period.
Ms. Jackson, you've dragged your ex-boyfriend to court to prove he fathered your 26-year-old daughter, Tanika.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim he's denied her since birth because you were caught in a love triangle with him and his wife.
That's a lie, Your
Yes,
Honor.
Your Honor.
1 week ago, you reopened your child support case in which you state Mr. Brown owes you $20,624.08.
Yes, Your Honor. That's a lie, Your Honor.
Livgo recalls a situation where she was intimate with Dwight at his place, and Drusilla, his other partner, unexpectedly entered. Although Drusilla left briefly, Livgo believed Dwight and Drusilla were separated because that's what he told her. The incident occurred at Livego's apartment, and they engaged in unprotected sex.
We was in the back of the room. She came in the door. She said, "Come on out, let me talk to you." She left, and then later on, we were still in the apartment. I didn't know that he was dating her because he told me that they had broke up.
So you're at the apartment with him,
yes, Your Honor,
having sex,
Yes,
unprotected.
Yes.
You say Ms. Brown walks in.
Yes,
and you remember it being Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Drusilla acknowledges Dwight's ongoing affair with Livgo even while being with her. Despite moving to Albany, Dwight continued to vacillate between the two women. Drusilla was aware of his deceit, including trips under the guise of business that were actually spent with Livego. Amidst this, Drusilla experienced a miscarriage leading to a chaotic moment.
Open the door. She standing up there naked, had my man in my house. So even, he kept fooling around with her, like you say, going back and forth. So
you knew that he kept an affair going with her?
Yeah, off and on, yes. Oh, yeah.
So were you all married at this time?
Me and Mr. Brown had been together for about 3 or 4 years when he started messing with her.
I want to go back to the point where you realized you're pregnant.
We had moved.
A dispute arises about Tanika's last name and who signed her birth certificate. Drusilla acknowledges Tanika having Dwight's surname, but disputes his involvement in providing it, while Dwight denies signing any birth certificate. Drusilla's marriage is revealed, complicating the situation.
She has your last name?
Yes, Your Honor.
That he
Your
didn't
Honor.
give her.
Yes.
So he said he did not sign her birth certificate.
So that's what I want to know.
No, he said, I asked my husband over and over again, did you sign the birth certificate? When Tanika
Your
was
Honor,
born,
I don't know.
Your
I didn't
Honor,
sign no
let me tell you
papers.
something else that they didn't tell you, Your Honor. When Tanika was born, another man was on her original birth certificate as her father, not my husband.
Drusilla insists Dwight did not sign Tanika's birth certificate and avoids DNA tests. There's no signature on the provided birth certificate. Drusilla presents a timeline starting in 1990, describing multiple instances where they tried to conduct DNA tests and were met with avoidance or refusal from Tanika and Miss Jackson.
You want to tell that birth certificate? This
Now, I
second
do
birth
not
certificate.
see a signature on this birth
Because
certificate,
he did not
though.
sign it.
I didn't sign it.
He did not sign it.
Is that why you're saying she kept avoiding the DNA test?
That's right, Your Honor. That's right. I want to go to the board, Your Honor, and show you something from my maid.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, the first time, it was 1990. I paid money to have a test done for her. She didn't show up. Again, the summer of 90.
Tensions escalate over Dwight's child support payments, totaling $4,800, despite Drusilla's disbelief that he's Tanika's father. Drusilla implies that avoiding DNA tests secures continued support payments. She expresses frustration over a 26-year-long dispute and insists on wanting the DNA test.
You're saying he's paying child support for the child.
We have already paid $4,800.
And you don't believe he's the father?
No, ma'am. That's the money that he had paid for child support that she said he was never on child support. He never did nothing for her.
You believe she's avoiding the DNA test because she's getting this money.
I figured that she did that because she know that Tanika's not my husband's daughter.
Miss Perry asserts Mr. Davis is the father of her 1-month-old son, Adonis, but he vehemently denies paternity, referencing trust issues and her relationships with other men. She accuses him of avoiding responsibilities and pursuing other women, which he disputes, ensuring a contested debate about Adonis's paternity.
Miss Perry, you claim to have a daughter with the defendant, Mr. Davis, and now you want to prove that he also fathered your 1-month-old son, Adonis. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Davis, you say Any trust you had for Miss Perry went out the window once you learned you were not the only man climbing through hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you say you're 1,000% certain that you are not Adonis's father.
Miss Perry acknowledges some fault in their complex situation, but criticizes Mr. Davis for inconsistent involvement with their child, highlighting his sporadic visits and eventual departure when the child cries. Mr. Davis confirms some level of involvement, but seems indifferent to the emotional scenes described by Miss Perry. Judge Lake seeks to delve deeper, noting underlying issues between the parties.
I learned my mistakes. Honestly, it happened twice. I know I can't fault him for everything. But at the end of the day, it's just not right. I'm not finna be sitting in this little love
So I've never been there for the baby.
You have, Your Honor. He's been there.
Have you been there for the baby, Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
He was there for her for like the first 6 months. He started slacking off. He come every now and then. Every 2-3 months, he come pop in for about 30 minutes.
Miss Perry and Mr. Davis met online and began a sexual relationship, resulting in Miss Perry getting pregnant with their daughter, Skylar, after meeting in person twice. Upon learning of the pregnancy, Mr. Davis requested a DNA test, having experienced related issues before. Miss Perry agreed, but refused to pay for it, confident in Mr. Davis's paternity.
Then you met on the internet site, and then you all start sleeping together.
Yes.
And that's when you got pregnant with Skylar, your older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We saw each other like 2 times. I found out a little bit after that I was pregnant, and I told him that I was pregnant. And he said, well, he would need a DNA test because he's been through that situation before. I said, okay, cool. You can get one all you want to, but I'm not paying for it because I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Perry expresses frustration and has much to say, reflecting the struggles she's been through. Initially, Mr. Davis requested a DNA test for their first child, Skylar, but never paid for it. Thus, he eventually accepted Skylar without confirmation of paternity. Miss Perry mentions that her son has her last name.
My son has my last name. You have to deserve it just because you push.
Woo, hold on now, Miss Perry. Miss Perry, take a breath. Take a breath.
Because I got a lot to say, and I've been going through a lot.
Look, I can tell you have, and I want to understand it, but you have not taken a breath, and I don't want you to skip too far in the story so that I miss some important pieces as to how two people, I can tell, cared a little bit about each other.
Mr. Davis explains to Judge Lake his rude behavior towards Miss Perry, highlighting an instance where he felt disrespected during a visit to see Skylar. He describes an environment where he's greeted by Miss Perry and several men and shares an incident where she retreated to the bathroom while her sibling misidentified Mr. Davis, calling him by an ex-boyfriend's name.
So explain that to me. You hung up. Why? Why would you do something so rude to a woman you've acknowledged is the mother of your older daughter?
Because every time I come and see the Skylar, when I come up, it's always her on the porch and a group of dudes. And so one day I come over to visit, and when I come, she runs straight to the back room.
Miss Perry defends herself against an insinuation by Mr. Davis regarding a potentially broken window being used by other men to enter her residence. Judge Lake explores this, but Miss Perry firmly denies these claims. She expresses feeling demeaned and devalued by Mr. Davis, especially hurtful given her genuine care for him, and his harsh words make her feel diminished.
It means that somebody had already jumped through this window.
First of all, I live in a neighborhood where the maintenance ain't even good. That's why the window's like that.
All right, correct.
Oh, so you thought the way you got in, somebody else got in too?
Yes.
But they didn't put the window back.
She ain't say nothing about it.
Were you letting other men through the window, Miss Perry?
No, absolutely not. No.
Mr. Roll asserts he is not the father of Miss Gedelian's twin daughters, attributing her claims to infatuation with him and alleging she has exhibited obsessive behavior, like taking unsolicited pictures of him. Miss Gedelian contends that Mr. Roll is undeniably the twins' father, accusing him of abandoning her and their children, causing absolute chaos.
Mr. Roll, you are here to prove you are not the father of Miss Gedelian's twin daughters.
Yes, ma'am.
You say she's infatuated with you, and that's the reason she wants to pin her babies on you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gedelian, you say there is no question Mr. Roll is the father of your twins. You say he left you with 2 babies and a broken heart.
Mr. Rolla, accused of being the father to Miss Gedelian's twins, claims he was in a relationship when they met, insisting his interactions were friendly, not flirtatious. Gedelian rebuts, stating that Rolla's girlfriend was aware of their dealings, highlighting his cheating. The situation in court oscillates between levity and tension as personal and relational boundaries blur.
Okay.
Your Honor.
You knew that?
Ma'am.
She was well aware. She went through my Facebook and were able to find out where I was at, how to message me. She seen the pictures of me and my ex.
If you had a girlfriend at the time, how did you end up flirting and being in this full courtship thing with Miss Gedelian? Don't get quiet now.
Your Honor, he was cheating.
I'm a friendly person. I get along with anybody. It's hard not to like me.
Miss Gadelian acknowledges the moral complexity of continuing relations with Mr. Roll even after learning he had a girlfriend. Her feelings for him, already entwined, made ceasing their encounters difficult. Conversely, Roll implies that he was transparent about his relationship status, presuming Gadelian understood their entanglement's casualness. Both navigate a blurred line between emotional entanglement and casual interactions.
I was wrong.
Are you using protection?
No, Your Honor.
When you all were having this flirtation, you thought it was a relationship budding, he just thought it was nothing, casual. When did it change?
When he told me he had a girlfriend, I should have stepped back and just, stopped completely. But then at that time, my feelings were already, starting for him, and we just kept doing it.
Mr. Roll admits to intimate relations and expressing feelings to Miss Gadelian while still involved with his girlfriend, creating a convoluted emotional scenario. When Miss Gadelian discovers she's pregnant, she takes the bold step of revealing the truth to Mr. Roll's girlfriend, navigating through regret and ethical concerns to share this impactful news.
You were having unprotected sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
With someone other than your girlfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
And telling her that you had feelings for her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that math don't add up.
It don't.
That's recipe for baby making. Let me make sure I'm on point with the facts. You find out you're pregnant, you tell him, you know he feels like it's gonna ruin his life.
Mr. Roll believes Miss Gadelian revealed the pregnancy to his ex out of spite due to his intentional distancing. When faced with the pregnancy news, his doubt over paternity is fueled by knowledge of her ongoing divorce, challenging the situation with additional layers of complexity and potential paternal candidates.
Because you're angry because she reached out to your ex.
I feel like she did it out of spite because I distanced myself from her. I just stopped talking to her. When she would come in my job, I wouldn't really say nothing to her. I just walk away from her.
Your Honor, no,
Trust me, I wasn't buying the public service announcement testimony anyway. So I'm sure that it was out of spite somewhat. But regardless, at this point, when you find out she's pregnant, your ex has been informed.
Mr. Roll disassociates from the babies, citing the involvement of another man in significant birth moments and legal recognition on the birth certificate as his rationale. Miss Gadelian acknowledges this, but highlights her efforts to involve him and his expressed indifference when asked about another man signing the birth certificate and participating in birth events.
I want nothing to do with the babies. I already have, kids. I don't need any more. After a while of trying to get somebody to be there, and they keep telling you to leave them alone, eventually you just leave them alone.
In my mind, as another man on the birth certificate, another man was there for the birth, another man cut the umbilical cord. So in my mind, these are not my kids. If they were my kids, I would have some part.
Ms. McKeever was convinced that Mr. Arnold is the one and only father of her 3-year-old bundle of joy. And guess what? Defendant, joined by his ever so supportive aunt, insists that baby mama love life is a real page turner and he's the lucky one stuck with child support duties.
For your son.
Well, actually, he has not done anything for my son. My sister has been playing a big role in my son's life, far as buying him diapers, if I need money to get my kids clothes.
But he's on child support?
Yes.
But you've never gotten anything?
I never got anything.
Not a dime yet?
Not a dime.
And so you're suing for child care expenses you've incurred thus far?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold, along with his trusty sidekick Aunt Henderson, claims that Ms. McKeever admitted to some extracurricular activities with not one, but 2 other gentlemen. Oh, I see where this court session is headed. He denies being Kenneth's dad, all while being on child support. Impressive multitasking, right?
Young man.
Transportation to get to this place.
But look where it ended up. This happens in this courtroom way too much. Young men in your position, you come to court and you say, this is not my child, Your Honor, this is not my child, Your Honor. And then when I ask, did you have an opportunity to take a DNA test? Well, I couldn't get there. I didn't have no ride. I didn't have those. We get a ride to go everywhere else we want to go.
Despite being on child support, Mr. Arnold's wallet seems to be on vacation. Ms. McKeever hasn't received a single dime from him for their son's expenses. She's here today to claim her share, a hefty $1,796 for diapers, shoes, and baby couture. But who's taking care of the child all this time?
Because she can't take care of the child. You not taking care of the child. I want to hear from your sister, ma'am. State your name, ma'am.
I'm Shakiria Cox.
Miss Cox, thank you for joining us today. So you've been stepping up to the plate as it relates to Kenneth.
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And you've been helping out.
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Paying for expenses.
Haircuts, shoes, clothes, milk, anything that little boy needs. If she calls me, he have it.
When Mr. Arnold and Ms. McKeever got together, our innocent plaintiff was already with another man. And by the time she decides to move in with the new man, the previous one left, sounds like a game of musical chairs. But hold on, that dude did show up banging the door, saying hello. Anybody home?
So me and him, we messed around on that day. Around January 18th, I end up going to the doctor because I get my 6-month checkup. The lady ended up telling me I was 6 weeks pregnant. The last person who I had intimate with was the other dude.
And you submitted a calendar to the court.
Yes.
Pretty much you were with Mr. Arnold, having sex with him unprotected, you said.
Yes.
Pretty much the whole month of December. But
Ms. Henderson, with a dash of skepticism, raises an eyebrow at the timing of events. She finds it rather convenient that Ms. McKeever allegedly conceived a child with Mr. Arnold within a mere 48 hours while also having been involved with another man throughout a month. But when the pregnancy news came in, let's see what happened.
She done blocked him out for 2 years, blocked him off of Facebook, no contact. 2 years later, this girl pop up and tell him she need to talk to him. When she gets him and talk to him, she tell him that she did the DNA for the other guy, and he not the daddy. Christopher wanted a copy of the DNA test.
after 2 years, you finally did the DNA with the other guy?
It was his. So they contacted me and they sent me a paper in the mail. I had a DNA test done.
What a gimmick. If science has already given the verdict, why bother? Well, like they say, it happens all the time. How about we just call in for some spot the difference game here? Come on, Ms. McKeever. That's just racist on the poor child.
That little boy don't know nothing like us.
No, I don't have the evidence with me.
And she wouldn't let us get a copy, and she wouldn't let us take a picture of it so we could have some evidence.
When you said Kenneth was 1 year old, you said you felt like he looked like Mr. Arnold.
Yes.
Did you say anything to Mr. Arnold then? Say, oh, this...
Well, folks, there is no point fighting over appearance. So how about we just leave it to the professionals? So here's Judge Lake giving away the final verdict. So let's see what the concealed enveloped holds for the poor baby.
Mr. Arnold, you are his father.
Step up, baby. Step up. We want it. That's what we here for. The DNA, the truth.
What I want to hear, young man.
How will you feel if your brief fling gets converted into a paternity dispute? For sure you will wish for it to never happen. Something similar happened to Ms. Nash. Who was claiming that? Mr. Brewer is the father of her 7-month-old daughter. Now she seeks acknowledgement of his parental responsibilities. Let's find out what happens.
So, Ms. Nash, has the defendant helped at all with your daughter?
No, Your Honor, not at all. He hasn't bought a pamper. He hasn't bought a bottle, not a bottle of water, nothing.
And Zion is 7 months old.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is that like having to care for a newborn alone with no help?
It's absolutely horrible.
Well, that's about right. What else do you expect from the man? When you, yourself, Ms. Nash, had labeled your relationship a brief fling. Adding to the mix, Mr. Brewer asserted that he had no obligation to assist. Their relationship kicked off as neighbors. And you know right, the infamous Mr. Fix-It-to-Rescue. But wait, just listen to this.
I really just kind of expected for you to just help, you know, a little bit more. I mean, honestly, it's not any at all. So I really just expected just a little bit more from
But if you're not sure she's mine, why should I?
We had sex, Josh.
Yeah, we did.
It's a possibility. The possibility is what should have had you there.
Wait, what? On one end, you are claiming the baby to him, and Mr. Brewer should be helpful and all that. But what's the point? When your entire theory is based upon a possibility. Come on, lady, have some respect for yourself.
So, Mr. Brewer, you obviously feel like that's too much of a window for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So take me back. How did this sexual relationship begin?
So for the most part, like I said, we are neighbors. We live in the same apartment building. It was just simply neighbor things. Hey, how you doing? Running to them in the hallway. And then it turned into personal when I ended up needing help in my apartment.
She turned me into Mr. Fix-It.
Well, the stove fixing did lead to them having dinner, and later, the desert. Oh boy, the encounter ended up without the protection. Even now, this wasn't even a committed relationship. How about we listen to the day where Ms. Nash finds out about the pregnancy?
Maybe the next day, I think I called him and we sat down and talked about it.
So you did?
Yes, ma'am.
How did that conversation go?
She texted me and asked me was I busy at the time. I'm like, nah, I'm in the house making me some breakfast or whatever. And she come down I ain't got no shirt on and nothing, Mr. Sexy. So I'm just sitting there, she talking to me, and she like, I'm pregnant. She sat on the couch, I'm pregnant. I immediately told her, like, we need a DNA test.
But hold one, since now the baby was born, Ms. Nash in her mind cooked a recipe that says, oh, that baby belongs to Mr. Brewer. Talk about some magnifying observation. Right, let's focus on the breakdown analysis of the physical features. Now that's being called racist on the baby.
You submitted evidence to the court, a diagram which you say outlines those similar features.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
You say Zion has the same receding hairline as Mr. Brewer.
Look at what he did to my baby. I don't have a receding hairline.
Feature number 2. You say
that
Zion has the same round head as Mr. Brewer.
But before you all get too carried away with the baby similarity dilemma, how about you just listen to the core of doubt that Mr. Brewer had it in his mind? In fact, he did bring an exhibition to support what he believed.
Seen her walk in her apartment with another man.
Okay, all right. So
I don't have to
you
tell
submitted an exhibit?
Now, this is a map of our hallway. She's coming in with another man. Got it like this.
You should have said hey.
Well, I spoke to both of y'all.
You should have said hey.
I spoke to both of them.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
You said what's up,
back.
he said what's up. I'm looking at them, they finna get dirty. I'm already knowing.
All right, since now most of the facts are cleared and Judge Lake had taken enough into account, it was now time for the revelation of the DNA results. So how about we now focus on the long story short? Buckle up, Paternity peeps. Here is what happened next.
Mr. Brewer, you are the father. You are the father. That's
Can I have an
beautiful
apology,
little girl.
please?
I apologize.
All right, Paternity peeps. Mr. Ahmad was overjoyed to prove he's Nevaeh's father. Despite Ms. Day's brutal honesty from the start, she kindly plans to reveal another potential dad. With so much at stake, it's clear this case is a real roller coaster of emotions, isn't it?
This is to be my first child. So I was overjoyed. She was high risk, so she couldn't work. So what I did, I tried to do as best as a man that I could do to
And
help.
you all were in what kind of relationship? Committed, or were you just casual friends, or what?
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
Boyfriend and girlfriend, okay. And so you found out she was pregnant and you were excited because this was your very first child.
Yes.
Our good old plaintiff was excited about pregnancy, as it was his first child. To add more to his emotions, Mr. Ahmad had previously experienced the loss of a child due to an ectopic pregnancy. And now you wonder the hurt and disappointment he must have felt after hearing the news of him not being the father.
He said he wanted to be her father and he would be there for us.
Talk to me about the relationship from your point of view.
It was more of a friendship for me. I loved Mr. Ahmad, but I wasn't in love with him. It was just, he was there for me, and I needed somebody to be there for me.
And how I found out she was pregnant, and it knocked on my window and said, well, I need to talk to you, and this is your child.
What? Well, one thing was definitely clear. They probably had poor communication among each other. Mr. Ahmad, don't just get your hopes high, as there was a visible disconnect. But a shocking revelation comes to light. Just listen to Ms. Day.
Every day.
That's not true. We didn't even get along that much. I was not at his house every day. We argued so much, I never lived with him. Like, he would, when I spent the night, some nights he would kick me out at 2 in the morning.
Why are you so upset now? Because you feel...
I just feel like he trying to make me seem like a bad person when
No,
he
ma'am.
know that
No,
I
ma'am.
told him this might not
No,
be his
ma'am.
baby.
But Paternity peeps, we just call it a situationship, moving forward to the birth certificate. All right, since now we know how enthusiastic the wannabe daddy Mr. Ahmad was, let's just see how he handles his emotions at the hospital.
I was present the entire time she was pregnant. I cut the umbilical cord. I signed the birth certificate. After the baby was born, we left the hospital together. Matter of fact, her mother picked me up to go have when the baby was being delivered. Her own mother drove me to the hospital.
So, Ms. Day, was he present as the father of this child at the hospital?
He was present, yes, he was. But he was present because he wanted to be.
But wait, why does Ms. Day think it's not Mr. Ahmad's child? If the man is just so up for the deal, why don't you just let him enjoy everything in his mind? There has to be curious revelation that we all might be missing.
I wasn't in a relationship with him, but I never messed with another man while I was sexually involved with Mr. Ahmad. This is something that happened before I was sexually involved with him.
Are you saying the other man, you truly believe this other man is Nevaeh's biological father?
Yes.
Why do you believe that?
Because she looks like his kids. She looks like him. She don't don't look like Mr. Ahmad at all anymore.
So everything comes down to how the baby looks. Isn't that just racist? However, Judge Lake did her little investigation of the case and came up with some social media posts. Ms. Day expressed her appreciation for Mr. Ahmad's support and care. She later expressed that the child looked like Mr. Ahmad initially, but now looked more like Mr. Flowers.
Everything been cool all the way up to this baby situation occurred. When it occurred, she told me to be a 50-50 chance. I left the situation right there and went on about my way.
But she says you take care of Nevaeh now.
Yeah, she be with me at work and everything.
She does?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so when you're with her, do you feel like this is my little girl, or?
I just don't know, Judge. Like he said, he here to find out, I'm here to find out.
Okay, so now we have recorded all the three in the spotlight: Mr. Plaintiff, Ms. Defendant, and potential father, number 2. It was now time for Judge Lake to blow the curtain down. So fasten your seatbelts, because now we were all in a whirlpool ride.
The biological father is Mr. Flowers. Mr. Flowers, you are the father.
Yeah, that's mine. That's my baby.
All right, we've gathered here today for another episode of Is He or Isn't He? The plaintiff, Miss Lewis, has graced us with her presence, convinced that the defendant, Mr. Pippin, is secretly the father of her children. But fear not, folks. Mr. Pippin and his girlfriend, Miss Sanders, have undeniable proof that they were about to unleash.
Children. Because she's a liar, she's a cheater, and I have proof
Your
I'm not
Honor.
the father.
No, I was with this man since I was young. I had his back through everything. When she kicked him out, he came crying to me. When he had nowhere to go at, when you had nowhere to go at, you came home to me. And you would have knocked both of them, and you asked me to have them. Not once, but twice.
Your Honor, that right there, I did ask her to have my child, but
I was with you.
Let me just give you a quick review. There isn't just one child at stake, but 2. Whoa! Number 1 on the paternity list we had was baby Quayshawoon. However, the plaintiff had various doubts when it came to both. How about we just focus on baby number 1?
I met him, his mother was a bus driver at my school. One day he came home from the group home and he was riding the bus with her. I was about 15, 16. Okay, fast forward, 2009. Me and Mr. Pippin got closer. He was dating Miss Sanders, but she doesn't know this. That's when she had a little red truck. He came to my house. I was home by myself. We had sex the very first time in 2009. Okay, fast forward to 2010. Again, I had moved into another apartment. He moved in with me.
So this was basically an on and off relationship, and the defendant was supposed to be with the Ms. Sanders when he was hitting the bed with Ms. Plaintiff. Just wow. Just here, why does Mr. Defendant have doubts about the baby being his?
because the time around she got pregnant, I wasn't in Greenville at the time when she got pregnant.
Oh, so you're
staying-
saying it's a timing issue?
Yes, ma'am. I was staying in Tarboro at the time with Miss Sanders.
I have the proof from y'all if you want to see.
I would like to see the proof. Jerome, please pass that to me.
Was May 25th when I was with Mr. Pippin because he kept blowing my phone and popping up at my house. So I can't be with somebody and he kept popping up.
It all came down to the good old game of spotting the difference. And guess what? This whole case couldn't just get any more racist on the poor baby. Just hear how Judge Lake discusses the comparison with Mr. Pippin and Ms. Lewis.
What are you feeling, Miss Lewis?
He don't even like you because you walked on him when he was still one, so he said, Dad, 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 Dad. And you walked out the front door and slammed like you never heard him call you. That boy looked just like your dumb tail. My baby, he didn't ask to be here. You asked me to have him. And now he's here, you want to take care of him.
Please explain, Ms. Sanders, what this
that's
evidence is.
just
On the right side is my child that I have with Mr. Pippin.
In this dramatic exchange, Mr. Pippin presents a DNA test result indicating he's not the father of Miss Lewis's children. Miss Lewis and her witness, Miss Slade, recall Mr. Pippin's suspicious behavior on the day of the test, while Mr. Pippin insists on his innocence.
So you claim he took a DNA test?
Yes, Your Honor.
And manipulated the results to compromise
Yes,
them.
Your Honor.
How do you think he did that?
Anything, because I don't take much off your DNA, especially Mr. Pippin, because he don't like taking care of his children as is. All 4 of them.
Mr. Pippin vehemently defends himself, asserting that he couldn't have manipulated the DNA test as he was holding his daughter during the process and only briefly used the bathroom without any suspicious behavior. Come on, give this man a break! But hold on, how about we just go straight to the results? All right, Judge, show us some DNA.
It has also been determined by this court, Mr. Pippin, you are his father.
I told you.
This energy between all of you is just so toxic. I'm worried for the children.
All right, this one's a real head scratcher. How often will you see a wife wanting to defend her husband? And that too when alleged infidelity is involved. She must be an angel. Meet Ms. Johnson. She came to court desperate to prove that her husband isn't the biological father of Ms. Davis twins.
I just want to prove it so we can move on with our life. I want Ms. Davis out of our lives for good. It's bringing problems with us and with me and my mother-in-law.
And so how is this affecting your marriage, Mr. Johnson?
I just feel like we'll have a lot more closure if I go ahead and find out if they're mine or not.
So you admit you're a married man and you're torn between two women now.
Basically, but now I'm not gonna say now because me and Ms. Davis don't have any more dealing.
That's right, you just can't dodge the DNA queen. And just like that, the AKA responsible husband did admit to having a relationship with Ms. Davis. And you know what that calls for, a paternity doubt with a capital D. But is anyone aware of the dude being already married?
No, not really until like a couple years, probably like a year or so. I seen the little married pictures on Facebook or whatever. So I'm like, so when this come about, you know?
Did you confront him about, are you married?
No, I ain't confronting him, but you know, I asked him about it because it ain't my concern because you ain't my man, you know?
And so what did he say?
I want to be with you and, you know, we'll get the papers and we can go from there. I got the papers. Okay.
Oh, you told him to get the papers as in divorce papers?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the juicy twist according to Ms. Johnson. She found out about the pregnancy of Ms. Davis because they both went to the same doctor. What? It means the plaintiff was also pregnant at the same time. Yeah, you got that right? What a coincidence. But wait, Ms. Davis had never informed anyone about her pregnancy, or did she?
I heard that the twins might be my grands, so I asked Ms. Davis were they my grands, and she said no, ma'am. I think after she had them, I asked her again, and I said, well, bring them back so I can see them. And she brought them to my house. I think they were maybe 4 or 5 months, and I looked at them, and I said, well, this one looks like his son. And I said, so you sure that's something that you don't need to tell me? And she just smiled like she's doing now.
Mr. Johnson's mother immediately went racist on the poor babies. I mean, like, after seeing the baby, she instantly started to question the skin tone and the features. Come on! But deep in heart, she was willing to accept if they actually belonged to her son.
Got married, we will be married 1 year, June 11th. Me and my husband met 5 years ago. I was the very first girl that he met, so I'm the very first one. So they always tell my mother-in-law, like, I knew him first. No, I knew him first. Me and him been rocking years. I'm not going nowhere. No matter whatever we go through, he always tell me. I even asked my husband, do he want a divorce? No, I'm not leaving you for nobody.
Ah, man, I wish I had a girl like that. But really, Mr. Johnson, to put a woman like her in a situation like that, you better be ashamed. But just look how Ms. Johnson's been willing to put everything on the line for the alleged baby daddy. Every time it's the same, two women fighting for the same man.
I'm going nowhere.
Excuse me, Your Honor, he told me to go get his clothes.
It don't matter who he's with.
Don't do that, baby.
Now, I'm not going nowhere, so.
It don't matter, I don't care about
wait a minute, Ms.
You the one
Davis.
looking stupid, not me, baby.
Wait a minute.
I'm not looking stupid. I'm the wife, baby. You the one who's going back and forth
No,
with
baby,
Jay.
because I didn't
Hold on.
I didn't
I'm not going nowhere.
honey.
I'm not going nowhere.
Ladies.
Ms. Davis acknowledges that she initially denied Mr. Johnson's paternity of the twins, but now believes that one of the twins, the girl, is indeed his biological daughter. But again, we wonder how she was so sure. Yeah, the good old spot, the difference game. Here, have a look.
Davis, your daughter on the right, and you believe you see similarities.
Look at the cheekbones, look at the nose, the eyes, the hair, differently.
Mr. Johnson, when you look at the picture, do you see the similarities?
Other than the one she pointed out, no.
So you don't really feel like these are compelling similarities?
No, I don't never go by no pictures.
With me, I'm seeing the similarity between his son and her son.
Can somebody please make these people learn the definition of being a racist? Come on! And above all, this court isn't all about pictures or appearances, because looks can be deceiving in this courtroom. So how about we just go to the envelope of truth? Here are the DNA results.
Mr. Johnson, you are not the father. Mr. Johnson, you are not the father.
I'm fine. I know now.
So you know.
Ms. Johnson and Ms. Davis attend court to determine if Mr. Johnson is their biological father. At their mother's funeral, a different man claimed to be their father. Mr. Johnson ruthlessly admits to having paternity doubts, but wishes to clarify 25 years of questions. Another man outside the courtroom also suspects Mr. Johnson could be his father.
Everyone, Ms. Johnson and Mrs. Davis, you are here in court today to finally find out if the defendant is your biological father. You both claim at your mother's funeral a different man approached you and announced he instead is your father. Mr. Johnson, you admit you've always had doubts about your children's paternity, but say...
Mr. Johnson was asked if he had knowledge of their mother being unfaithful, or if someone else could be the father of Ms. Johnson and Ms. Davis. Mr. Johnson confirmed he had suspicions. as she told him directly about her unhappiness and her connections with other men while he was working.
Depends on the
Mr. Johnson, did you ever hear anything about their mother cheating, that someone else could be the father?
Yes, Your Honor.
You did?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you hear specifically?
Actually, she actually told me.
She did?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did she say?
You know, she would tell me, you know, I'm unhappy. You're not spending the time with me. Da, da, da. And she would go off and be with these, you know, these other guys.
Mr. Johnson affirmed that he raised Ms. Johnson and Ms. Davis on his own. Even though he had doubts about being their biological father, he stepped up to the responsibility. He mentioned that their mother had told them another man was their father, but he was there when they were born and during the 9 months of pregnancy.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that would be you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor. I asked
So
for
she
no-
relinquished her parental rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Mr. Johnson, you raised these children on your own.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've been honest and said you had doubts.
Yes, Your Honor.
And yet you raised these girls as your own,
Yes, Your Honor.
accepted this responsibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson revealed that he offered money to the girl's mother in hopes of encouraging a mother-daughter connection between them. He stressed the importance of his daughters understanding the dynamics of their family, noting his son had witnessed it firsthand.
You're saying when you had the girls, you wanted the girls to see her
Yes, Your Honor.
and spend time with her so they could have a mother-daughter
Yes, Your Honor.
connection.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so you would have to say to her, I'll give you money
Yes, Your Honor.
if you spend time with them.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh.
The individual is discussing his sisters and the doubts surrounding their paternity. He notes that he can see his father in his middle sister, Ms. Johnson, but not as much in Ms. Davis. He becomes emotional while speaking, and Judge Lake comforts him, indicating the sensitivity of the topic. Did the DNA result make him feel better?
Tell me what you know exactly about the doubts surrounding their paternity.
There's a lot of doubts. My middle sister, I could see my father.
That's Miss Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't see your father.
No, ma'am.
And that hurts you to have to say. I can see that. And I can imagine for all three of you, it's difficult when one family member seems to be singled out, or why is there a difference when we're all family and we all love each other equally?
Ms. Robinson's life was shaken hard when she discovered that another man, Mr. Thompson, claimed her paternity. Confused with this situation, she came to court with the man whom she believed was her father, and now she badly needed answers today.
Mr. Thompson, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Fresneda, to court to prove that you, not he, fathered Ms. Jasmine Robinson. You've never met Ms. Robinson, but say today you'll prove she's yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fresneda, you were married to Ms. Robinson's mother and claim today's DNA test results will confirm that you are the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Thompson quickly stated that when Mr. Fresneda was away, her mother was sleeping with him, and they quit their thing when Sonia got pregnant. But his family members insisted that he resembled Ms. Robinson. Upon this, the judge asked Ms. Robinson about her brought-up.
I would have never expected that my dad, that I know as my dad, to not be my dad because he never treated me no different. So I would have never suspected.
Now, he says he heard things from your family members. You've never heard those murmurings, whispers through the grapevine?
Nobody never told me anything. They just left me in the dark. Nobody said nothing to me.
I have to say that learning about your paternity doubt at 29 years is not a good thing. And taking this much time, the plaintiff shared that after her mother's death, it was her choice that Mr. Fresneda would raise her daughter. Then, Ms. Robinson shared how she discovered her potential father.
2010, he had messaged me on Facebook, the first message, and was like, hey, tell your mom that I said hi. But I just brushed it off. I'm like, my mom has her own Facebook page. It's just somebody that she knows. So I just left it alone. I didn't say anything about it. And then 5 years later, in 2015, he had reached out to me again. I have a copy of the Facebook message.
I'd like to see that. Ron, can you please pass me the evidence?
For sure, she would have never taken it seriously, and it could be a pathetic joke. But this wasn't a joke, as Ms. Robinson shared it with her aunt, and to her shock, she was informed of the same story, and further, she even asked her dad about it.
And so, at this point, do you say something to the man you think is your father, Mr. Fresneda? You ask him?
Yes, I had told him, I said, Dad, there's this guy named Ladner Thompson that had reached out to me on Facebook and saying that he's my dad. And my dad was like, what's his name again? And then I said Ladner Thompson. And then he had said kind of the same story that my Aunt Felicia told me. Years ago, he had came around saying that he was my dad, but my mom was saying no, and he loved my mom so much.
It seems now Mr. Thompson's claim had some potential, but even if he believed he was the real father, he would see the mother-daughter in the town they lived in but never tried for a DNA test. Now it was time to know Mr. Fresnada's point of view in this story.
And like he says, on more than one occasion, and she always said to me that Jasmine was my firstborn. And that was good enough for me, Your Honor. We went on and had 4 more children after that, and they all belong to me, okay? Now my point I'm trying to make in here, Your Honor, that I wish that he would have addressed me before he sent her a Facebook or whatever. I know he couldn't be able to find me because we had no contact with each other. He lives in one town and I live in another.
So both the men knew about each other. That's interesting. But even if they knew that something was wrong behind the curtains, it should have been addressed timely. And that's exactly what Ms. Robinson argued about it, because she was hurt by this situation.
Now, earlier in the case, you mentioned your Aunt Felicia. Your Aunt Felicia is your mother's sister.
Yes.
You said you were trying to get answers from her.
Yes.
Now, she's here in court to testify. Who did your late sister name as the father?
Mr. Fernazza.
So Mr. Fresneda, Mr. Fresneda
Yes.
was always the father that her late mother named.
I feel her pain. Her whole life has become a lie now, and it wasn't easy for her to accept it. As much as it was hard for her to understand, the judge brought in her aunt to testify, and she agreed to Mr. Thompson's claim very quickly.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so you attributed that to the fact that Mr. Thompson could potentially be her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you addressed your sister, she maintained that Mr. Fresneda was her child's biological father, and there was no question in her mind.
Absolutely.
And so you let it go.
Yes, his name is Ladner. I said, and I look at Ladner, I see Ladner.
Now all the arrows were pointing in Mr. Thompson's direction. Then, the plaintiff asserted that it was important for him that all of his kids and grandchildren should have a bond with one another, and shared that his kids were friends with Ms. Robinson, to which she agreed.
No, I want to know.
You walked in today convinced that Mr. Fresneda was your biological father because that's what you were told, and that's what you grew up understanding. As you listen to the testimony today of Mr. Thompson, of your own aunt, your mother's sister, does this in any way change your perspective?
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm confused.
I can contest that we're all confused. You know, we don't know. And that's why we're here today, to find out the truth.
Now with all the testimonies, we pretty much knew where this would go. But still, the real father's name was sealed in that envelope. And to get this truth out, finally, the judge was ready to read the results.
The biological father is Mr. Thompson. You are her father.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Thank you. Sorry.
You all right?
I'm sorry.
Second timers were here in the court. Ms. Wilson claimed her ex-husband was busy playing house with a new girlfriend while he denied their firstborn. However, Mr. Wilson and his girlfriend denied this obviously, but also used color adjectives for the plaintiff.
Listen, you are back in my courtroom because after originally denying your son, your soon-to-be ex-husband is now denying your firstborn daughter, Peyton. You say Mr. Wilson is nothing but a deadbeat who has abandoned you and your children in order to play house with his new little girlfriend and baby. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Baby was clearly furious with the defendant, and she made the defendant know how she felt too. Apparently, she had been raising the 3 kids alone all by herself, and that was not right at all.
So I don't know why he's trying to deny them now.
And you're raising all the children?
Yes, Your Honor.
By yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
No help from Mr. Wilson, your husband?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Wilson, you don't believe you're Peyton's biological father?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
and I have
whenever
reasons,
he
Your Honor.
does see them, though, I have to provide everything. I have to call him to beg him to see them, which I shouldn't have to do.
She's
That's
never
not
called
my
to
job.
beg him to see anybody.
The defendant claimed that baby mama's ex had fathered Peyton, and he was pretty confident about this. According to him, Ms. Wilson had not been too committed to their relationship, and he had instances to back up his claim as well.
Throughout our whole relationship, Your Honor, she cheated on me with this guy multiple times. Multiple times. And
that's a lie, Your Honor. I cheated one time, and it really wasn't even cheating because we were not together. And I did get a hickey, and I'm gonna admit it. And I did lie about it, but...
And she just now told the truth, right here, right now. It took
Just
that
in this
long.
moment?
No,
Took that long.
I've told the
This
truth
long.
the whole time.
Trust was completely lost between these guys. Yep, the baby mama just couldn't understand why this guy was doing this. His doubts appeared meaningless to her, but doubts are doubts. Moreover, the start to their relationship wasn't too great either.
Let's make sure, you know what I'm saying?
I left my ex to be with him.
So, I mean, it was 2 weeks before
She just admitted that
me
she
and
left
him
this
got
guy
together.
for me.
Well, what it's saying to me is she slept with two guys in the window of conception.
No, I had Peyton in November. We got together in November. You tell me how the heck I can be pregnant for a year, and that's what he's trying to say.
So you're saying the timeline doesn't add up?
It don't.
Time for the exhibit, presented by Mr. Wilson. It was a text exchange between baby mama and the other potential baby daddy, as claimed by Mr. Wilson. Ms. Haley denied it outright, stating it wasn't her who texted this. Interesting response.
States that he looks just like you. Look at her feet, her eyes, her ears. She's sent pictures of Peyton to this man, and right away, right off the rip, he said, she's not mine. He denied her from the beginning. She said, do you want to get a DNA test? He said no. If she was 100% sure that I was the father, why would she be texting another man talking about my alleged daughter looks like him?
That was not me. That was a family member that did that.
What motive does your family member have to spread these kind of lies?
DNA or no DNA, baby daddy did feel about little Peyton. There was a bond between them, but even that didn't propel him to actively participate in her life. The girlfriend was too eager to justify that. But that wasn't enough, and Judge Lake blew up at these guys.
And I keep hearing testimony about how we don't have any money, how we don't have any food, and how we're struggling. Why do we keep making babies and you can't take care of them?
Make a bunch of babies, it's not. I mean,
I think it is.
Whether you say it's your intention or not to go out there and make a bunch of babies, you've gone out there and made a bunch of babies, potentially. And this is very real because at the end of the day, you're learning the lessons that those of us who have children, and we know this each and every day, these children gotta eat.
Oh, these people definitely needed to grow up themselves before taking responsibility for growing babies of their own. The fate of little Peyton was at stake, and like every other child, she deserved to have a father in her life. Let's see if she gets to have one today.
Wilson versus Wilson. When it comes to 2-year-old Peyton, Mr. Wilson, you are the father. You got to grow up before you can step up, and we got to grow up.
The plaintiff brought the baby mama to court after she ended up tilting his world right off its axis. In the electrifying world of paternity disputes, we have Mr. Lloyd and Ms. Rayleigh, all ready to fight out this paternity battle.
Mr. Lloyd, you are in court today to prove that you are the biological father of the defendant's 1.5-year-old daughter, Courtney Marie Grimes. You claim the defendant led you to believe that you were the father only to have a bomb dropped on you that another man was her dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
A love triangle that would even make our dear Shakespeare blush. Baby mommy, the mastermind it seemed, was phenomenal at juggling. Her objects of choice were, though, rather peculiar, and so the drama begins.
Let's start from the beginning. I want to understand the nature of this relationship. So you were in a relationship with somebody else when you met Mr. Lloyd, or were you in a relationship with Mr. Lloyd and met somebody else?
I had just recently got out of a relationship when I had met Mr. Lloyd. Of course, I was ending my last relationship with the other party.
All right, so then you had finished the other relationship, or you were still kind of seeing this other guy?
We had like just ended.
Ah, the doubts and reservations, the beautiful aspect of every relationship. Dear God. So the defendant dropped the bomb on the baby daddy, claiming he might not be the dad. Ouch, that sure must have hurt. Her Ellaby Tho, the Super Bowl. And so the guessing game began.
Like, this your baby. It's like, was she like 3-4 months pregnant?
Do you remember this dinner meeting, Miss Rayleigh?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you all cleared the air and told Mr. Lloyd there's no doubt you are the father?
Yes, Your Honor.
So why is it all of a sudden 3 months, 2 months before the baby's born, you tell him he's not the father?
Well, Your Honor, I was 9 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. That's when the doubting and everything started. I said, well, 9 weeks ago, I wasn't with Mr. Lloyd at all.
So how did the baby mama end up pregnant? It's like a reality TV plotline. Baby daddy's excitement, though, soon turned to confusion, with capital C. After the big revelation, he left, but still the defendant had someone at the hospital with her. And don't forget the baby name crisis as well. That was interesting and one for the ages.
He didn't need to be there if he's not the dad. So that's why Mr. Grimes.
But what the dots I'm trying to connect are, when you told him he was the father, he accepted he was the father, but you say that this window between Mr. Grimes and Mr. Lloyd is only a span of 2 to 3 weeks anyway, right?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Or 4. Yeah, 3 to 4 weeks.
I didn't even know the baby got born. I had to find out on Facebook.
The window of conception becomes a blurry mess. No surprise there. Was it Mr. Lloyd or Mr. Grimes? Nobody knew for sure, and so the baby daddies took the matter into their own hands. And like a suspenseful movie, full of twists, they did a sting operation.
Actually, they pulled up on me. I said, okay, so both of them asked me in the car together. They in the car together. I'm with another friend who's the daddy, Chantel. So I said, okay, Curtis, you're the sperm donor, and Mr. Lloyd is the one who'll be there for her. You know, and at the time, that's what the situation
So wait
was.
a minute, the two potential fathers get together, you all get together.
Yeah, just
and decide y'all gonna do a sting operation.
The drama escalated as the other baby daddy, Mr. Grimes, shared his version of the events. Desperation was the name of the game here, people, and the tension, so thick. Now the second baby daddy had doubts as well. Apparently, the baby looked like both of them. Oh yeah!
Pregnancy been playing both sides. One minute Corey the daddy, next minute I'm the daddy. Corey about to spend some money on the baby, he the daddy. Like we both still seeing her to this day, you know? So
You both still seeing her?
we both still seeing Courtney. I mean, he been to Memphis more than me. I've been to Memphis one time, he been down there 3-4 times. But Shantia not telling me that.
So you saying this is supposedly your biological child with your last name, but this other man has been to see the child more than you?
So, neither of the baby daddies was supporting baby Courtney. Did you find that surprising? Because I sure didn't. However, the plaintiff was ready to support the baby. On the other hand, you would be surely surprised to know how many kids Mr. Grimes was supporting at the mere age of 23. Dear God! In the heat of the moment, baby mama ended up saying something ignorant. Yikes.
Have you helped with this child?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have. Mr. Grimes, she has your last name. Have you been helping to support Courtney since she's been born?
Man, I'm gonna tell you like I told Shantia when Corey, Mr. Lloyd got out of her life, I told her, give me blood, I give her baby love, basically. I'm tired of her playing both sides. I got 6 other kids that I gotta worry about. She's not finna keep playing with this kid. If Courtney minds, Courtney makes 7.
These guys were just playing the age-old blame game. Ms. Riley broke down and poured her heart out. Yes, girl, let it all out in the court. And while she did that, Mr. Grimes had the nerve to interject. Come on, man.
That he's not the father. I never told him that he wasn't the father at all. And to hear him say this in court today, he would never, ever speak to me again unless it's about our children. And that's it. It's no more going back and forth, because I have been going back and forth with these two for too long. And it's time for it to end. Either I'm going to be one of them or neither one of them.
Keep your legs closed, you won't go through this.
The moment we've all been waiting for. These guys were on the edge of their seats. All eyes were on the envelope. Is it Mr. Lloyd or Mr. Grimes? We are about to find out. Let's take a look at what destiny planned for the baby.
In the case of Lloyd versus Rayleigh, the biological father is Mr. Lloyd.
Y'all, congratulations, but you're done. I knew it from the start, you done, bro.